Well, again, it is Brianna with Gold Digger Show. Gold Digger Show is a show that caters and highlights individuals successfully chasing their dream. And we have a gold digger today with us that I'm really excited to have because it's kind of like a treat, you guys. We get to talk about two major things that's happening right now in this area in North Carolina, and I'm more than excited to share it with you. So, first of all, Aaron, how are you doing today?
Good. What's up, everybody?
Yes.
How you doing? Aaron Cheddar here.
Tell them exactly who you are, what you do, where you're from.
Yeah. Aaron Cheddar. Live obviously here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was raised in Eastern North Carolina in Greenville. And then I went to school here at NC State.
Okay.
And right after college, I moved out to Colorado and lived out in the mountains of Colorado in the high country for about 16 years. And just a brief little rundown, I got into the liquor business out there. I used to own beer, liquor, and wine shops. So in Colorado, they're mom and pop stores, so they're all individually owned. And we're able to sell beer, liquor, and wine. And we had the liquor license number 1 for the state of Colorado. So it was issued to Belmont Liquors, which was in Telluride, or still is in Telluride, Colorado. It's an old mining town. And so the day Prohibition ended in 1932, they applied for their liquor license, and they were the first people in the state to get it. And so pretty neat little history there. And I got into the liquor business by selling retail. And I had friends that were brewers, and some of them got into distilling. And in Colorado, the microbrewery scene and the micro distilling scene has been going on for a while. And so I saw what some of the smaller brands were doing, and we ended up after about 16 years of living out there, my family and I moved back to North Carolina, and we lived in Wilmington for a couple of years. And I got into radio out in Colorado. I produced my own radio show on Friday afternoons called Smothered in Cheddar. Which,
I like that.
That's how I like my hash browns. Scattered, smothered, covered, chunked, diced.
That sounds like North Carolina stuff right there.
So my brother and I lived out there, and people, we were trying to come up with a name for our show because we did it together.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies, we were just sitting around just kind of laughing about it, and he was like, I know y'all like those hash browns from Waffle House. He's like, why don't you call yourself Smothered in Cheddar?
That is so cool.
So we did a funk show, real obscure, old school funk. I was into collecting old school vinyl.
Yeah.
So a lot of just, a lot of New Orleans type music from the 60s, 70s. Got into a lot of acid jazz and a lot of Afrobeat, like Fela, Femi Kuti. And so did that for about 12 years on the radio, and then did a couple years at the Penguin in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then back into the big city of Raleigh, so we moved back up here just for, the vibe. There's a lot going on up here.
Mm-hmm.
And through a mutual friend that went to NC State, I met some other folks that were trying to develop a liquor company. And in North Carolina, there's not many people have experience because the state kind of controls everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a little niche that I filled for this company that was starting out. And then once I put all the pieces together, I was like, well, I wanted to go out on a limb. And my other buddy that went to NC State, he and I got together and we came up with Cheddar's Original, which is a whiskey that I brought you today. It's a honey citrus ginger whiskey. So
is that what you make the original out of?
Yeah, well,
What?
the original is this is the original is a honey citrus ginger, just
Yeah.
not aged.
Okay.
Yeah, so what that means is 100% corn. So the original would be just never touching oak, and so we call that a moonshine cocktail
Okay.
because we toned it down to 70 proof. Because we wanted people to enjoy it, right? When you think of moonshine, people have an attachment to that word. Some kind of emotional attachment.
It is an emotional attachment. Whenever I think of moonshine, I think of death for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it gets your attention. It's a lot more sexy than just saying corn whiskey.
Yeah.
Corn whiskey,
Yeah.
people are like, well, but like you're talking moonshine, you grab people's attention. So we're the only people in the country that have the word moonshine cocktail on a liquor bottle. And so we have 2 moonshine cocktails. We have a honey citrus ginger and a pear honey peach. And so the whole name, as you see with the spelling of the name, that's original. our flavor profiles, the honey, the citrus, the ginger, that's all original. Toning it down to 70 proof. We wanted to make more of a cocktail in a bottle, right, to appeal to more people.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's doing these flavor profiles, and they're just extremely well balanced. You know, we can obviously crack this bottle and try it. That's the only way. You gotta get in people's mouth, you know, and so that's the moonshine cocktail. We in North Carolina, we're only allowed to sell the whiskey as of right now. The pear honey peach and the original, which is the honey citrus ginger unaged, we're selling those in South Carolina and in Florida. But North Carolina is just a different way of doing business. They want us to try out this one to see how well it does. So what we've done is we've partnered up with a distillery real close to here, right down the street on here at North Raleigh, called 78C, which is really 78 degrees Celsius, which is the boiling point of pure alcohol, so ethanol. And so the distiller over there is an organic chemist by nature, by training. And so he's all into the science of, the distillation process. So 78C is a scientific, just term, but that's just the boiling point of pure alcohol.
Okay. Going back to Colorado, I know you said you're from there, you live there, and that's kind of where you started off with the idea of it. And now Colorado, or Denver specifically, is like really huge on marijuana.
Oh yeah.
So do you think that it helped, or do you think that it kind of affected the sales?
No. I don't think that one necessarily affects the other one. I know what you're saying. When we were out there, the medical marijuana was happening, right? And so there was distilleries, obviously, but you had to have a card. And I had a medical marijuana card due to an accident that I was in, a skiing accident. And so I had a card, and so there was, you could roll up into whatever dispensary and get your meds. But I don't think that had anything to do with liquor sales. Being on the same side of things, right? Did it slow my liquor sales down? No. Because people were smoking more weed? No, it just brought it out to the open. Gotcha. It didn't really affect one industry or another. Just all of a sudden, everybody was making money because the store owners can make money. The state was making tons of money off taxes. And so, it's just a taxable good, and I think it's nothing but positive. And so I think you'll see other states, hopefully North Carolina included, will follow. There'll be a blueprint now of how to do it right. Right. Because, North Carolina's going to be following suit behind other states that have already been doing it for a long time. And there's a lot of money there.
A lot of money.
And maybe one day that could help with the privatization of the ABC laws here in North Carolina, right? Yes. So if the state gives up that kind of revenue stream, how are they going to make it up? If you sell it all off in one time, okay, well, you don't have that residual income. One way would be to legalize marijuana, and then, I think the taxes you would make off of that, the state could be even bigger.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially
so
North Carolina.
all those young folk need to, put some pressure on those, because medically there's some other. It's an option, and we shouldn't be denied that option because of where we live geographically. You go, it's a different world over there in Colorado than it is here.
Yeah.
It just is. So I think they go hand in hand. Liquor obviously in the North Carolina has always been controlled by the state, and so it's just a different vibe here, and I think with the microbrewery scene, the explosion that you see typically is the microbrewery scene will grab hold, and then the micro distillery scene will kind of ride that wave right behind it. Usually the microbrews come first because the regulations and the taxes and things are different. And with liquor, your taxes are based on the percentage of alcohol. So the higher alcohol you have, the higher percentage in proof, the more taxes you're gonna pay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know
Everything's
that.
based on, So if I had, this whiskey is 70 proof, and if it was 80 proof, I would pay more taxes on it. If it was 100 proof, it just keeps going up and
So
up.
you strategically put it at 70.
So when you got to think about it in volume, right? So we're talking I mean, theoretically, you know, when we make batches, we're making 200 gallons. Well, start breaking that down to, you know, milliliters, which is what the bottles come in milliliters, you know, and dollars add up when you know, times the hundreds, and then when you get into real volume, you're multiplying by thousands, and that's a big deal. So yeah, in the long term, hopefully once we're producing, you know, good quantity, it'll make a difference.
Okay. That's good to know. I actually did not know that.
I mean, yeah, the liquor laws every state is different, so it can be extremely confusing. Especially when you're bouncing around from state to state. What you can do in one state, you can't do in another one.
Yeah.
And just the loopholes. Some states is just, you know, to get in is so easy. You're just give them a little money. I mean, obviously there's paperwork, but you know, they're letting you in. Other states, they won't. So in North Carolina, we were first making this whiskey in South Florida, and so by us partnering up with the distillery here in North Carolina, now we're a North Carolina company, and so that's why we're in. Otherwise, the state wouldn't allow us to come in.
Got it. Is this something you wanted to do your whole life?
No. I mean, honestly, it was an opportunity. I'm an opportunist. So if I see an opportunity, you know, you got to either, you know, you just have to be aggressive and kind of follow things through. You know, that's the main thing, the perseverance, because it would have been so easy to give up. I mean, a lot of times. So, you know, I see that, you know, I see that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
That's
you know,
good to see.
I can see it in the distance. So it just takes time, you know, and when you're dealing with the bureaucracy of the federal government, which you have to deal with first when you're dealing with liquor, you got to deal with the federal government side first, and then the state side always comes second. And they don't have anything to do with each other. It's just their piece, right? So liquor gets taxed so much that everybody wants their little piece, and they don't like to be left out.
Okay. Are you married with kids?
Yeah, so I'm married. I've got 11-year-old son. Emily is the wife. She actually from North Carolina, went to Meredith, and so yeah, we got a lot of connections here. And she grew up in Iredell County, and we have a son, Rocco, who's awesome. He was born in Colorado, but has been here now 6 years, and so he's great. He, you know, we're all about it. Big Wolfpack fans.
Okay.
You know, so we're into baseball, and he just finished up lacrosse. So
I love lacrosse.
Yeah, so that's a new sport. For us. I didn't grow up playing lacrosse.
Yeah. I filmed a scrimmage game for a whole season, so I kind of fell in love with it.
I mean, it's a great sport.
Yeah, it is.
I would have played it if it had been available when I was growing up. I think I would have played that. I was, you know, I was into soccer, baseball. I actually played football at NC State for a few years. I was a kicker in the early '90s. But you know, lacrosse was just something that went around North Carolina, you know, growing up. But now it's gaining steam. There's a good amount of kids out there, and so we have a blast watching them play. You know, you get to throw a ball around with a stick and hit people with pads.
Right. Exactly.
You know, what's not to like about that? You know, you still have the strategy that you would use in soccer, you know, or football, you know, where you're spreading people, spreading them out, and, you know, being strategic and whipping that ball around. I mean,
do you think that it's harder to manage a family while you're building a business?
Oh yeah, you just got to have, you know, your partner's got to have faith in you. You know, we really honestly haven't been making any money off the business. We've been putting money in. You know, it just takes time and money to develop. And that's the main thing, you know, you can't give in because it's so easy to want to. You just have to see it through, you know. And it's been, honestly, the development of the product to get, I mean, you know, every single thing on this bottle has been thought about. You know, and everything, you know, to the font sizes.
I didn't even notice that. You have your great-great-grandfather on the top of the...
So that's a custom top, you know, that silhouette picture of him right on the top of the bottle, you know, just to give it a personal touch. But there's so much that goes into the bottle, just in the design work, you know, because once you're establishing a brand. And so you got to think it through. There's things we've gone back and tweaked. You know, we've gone back and tweaked the recipe. We've added things to the label and taken things off. You know, a lot of the federal government dictates what can be on the label.
Really?
Yeah, so you got a lot of back and forth with them. So you have to submit like what they call, well, the COLA process is Certificate of Label Approval. And so you have to get your recipe. The recipe that you want to submit to the federal government, you got to get that right first, and they have to pass that off, saying that, you know, what's in the bottle is in the bottle.
So do they get to taste it and then tell you, or you just like write down
Yeah,
the
well,
recipe?
no, you send them the recipe.
Okay.
You send them the recipe, and then they approve it, or you got to make changes, and then you go to the labeling side of things. So all the fonts got to be a certain size, what you can and can't say on the bottle. So there's always a back and forth
Yeah.
of like, well, you know, they didn't want, one person didn't want us to put moonshine cocktail on the bottle. They thought that was a confusing statement. And then we got another person that allowed us. So, you know, it's just a lot of back and forth, and that could take months. I mean, months to just get approval based on how busy they are, and if you can, you know, get together and iron out the differences. So the development of the product and things, it takes a while. And then, you know, the distillation time period, it doesn't necessarily, you know, take that long, but the aging of the product, like this right here has been aged. So that this whiskey, once it hits New American Oak, which is a standard, then you can call it a whiskey.
Okay. What does that usually mean when you say age? Like, is it a specific time, or is it just like a process?
It's just a process.
Okay.
So I mean, if you look on the bottle, it says, you know, it has the word whiskey on there, and that's one thing we're going to clear that up, and that should have been in black when it's in
Gold.
you know, gold,
Yeah.
so it doesn't stand out as well. But anyways, so it says whiskey with natural flavors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by law, you have to have that on there. And so in order for you to be able to call it, or me to be able to call it a whiskey, it has to touch New American Oak. And so the oak barrels are all standardized. So when oak barrels have a standard to keep, you know, everything in line, so you have chars 1 through 5. With char number 1 being the lightest char, and number 5 being the darkest. So the char is where they burn the inside of the barrels. You know, they light them on fire. So the insides have different levels. And so what that does is it obviously affects the color and the taste. So we picked the char number 3, which is right in the middle. And so, you know, we let this age, you know, a few months. You know, nowadays you can, there's different, with any industry, there's always new technology, right? And there's better ways of aging things now, faster ways. You're still using the same standards. So what we do is we take the insides of the barrels, which we call dominoes. So it's a regulated oak barrel that is just, what we're using is just the char part of it. And so when you think of a barrel, all this on the inside, none of that is touching surface area, right? If it's in a barrel. But if you have the barrel chopped up and you have it inside the whiskey, now you have more whiskey touching more oak.
Right.
And so what that does is just speeds everything up, and you can agitate it. So if you have a warehouse full of whiskey barrels, well, you know, heat is good for making liquor, right? I mean, the distillation process, you got to get it up really hot anyways. And so when you're aging, heat affects aging positively. It speeds it up. And so when you look at commercials or whatnot, and you see the whiskey barns, and they have whiskey stacked up on top of each other. Well, the whiskey that's on the very top is going to taste different than the whiskey that's on the bottom, so they rotate them. And so just because of the temperature fluctuation will drastically affect the flavoring of the whiskey. So there's other ways to do it quicker now to really get the same taste. You will never know, and the same coloring, and you can use the same standards, but you can do it faster.
Okay. You seem pretty knowledgeable about, I hope so, about your business. But do you think that you had like an advantage over other companies?
I mean,
startup companies?
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as I had been around the liquor business for a long time, and so honestly, the relationship between I was once a retailer, so I had, let's say, whatever, 10,000 SKUs, right? Selling 10,000 different products for different people. And then now to be able to have one product to sell and focus my energies on this versus, trying to sell a bottle of somebody else's things, I've seen how it works. I know the process, so I think I have an advantage in the liquor on that side of things. The relationship between your distributor and your wholesaler. Like I'm a supplier. Like in the industry, I'm a supplier now, wholesale supplier of spirits. And the next step in non-control states, you have a distributor. So most states by law, in order for you to sell your booze, you have to go through a distributor. And then they're the ones that have the salespeople in the warehouse and they go out and sell it. Well, if your distributor doesn't do a good job for you, you're kind of SOL because you kind of give up a majority part of how they market things, and how they sell it. So if they're going around selling it a different way and it's not coming off the way you want it, there's not a whole lot you can do besides switch distributors.
Right.
And so we run into some issues with distributors in other states that are just they say they're going to do one thing and they don't, or they overpromise, undersell, and that's been the issue. But you got to fight through it, You can't let other people control your destiny.
Absolutely, that's the main thing that we try to tell people on Gold Digger. So I'm glad that you said that. What stores can we find your whiskey and your moonshine in?
So we're here in Wake County. They are currently selling it on Sandy Forks Road and at Cameron Village store, and then the new one in Wake Forest is a new store out there. But we're in the system in North Carolina, so we're also in Mecklenburg County, 4 stores there. We're in Pitt County, 4 stores. We're in Wayne County, and we're in Statesville. It's all about people, number one, right? You're either going to connect with people or you're not going to connect with people.
That's true.
And if you have a product that you're excited about and you can portray that and get other people to get excited about it makes your job a lot easier, right? I mean, who doesn't like my type of people like whiskey.
I love whiskey
and nice cars, you know? And so that's what I'm trying to do, right? They kind of go hand in hand. And with our whiskey, it's a sipping whiskey. If you notice on the bottom, our phrase, our tagline for the company is a sophisticated Southern spirit. We're not doing corn whiskey that you made that you made at your grandma's house or wherever.
In the bathtub.
Yeah. I mean, this is a higher end product that and it goes right along with these nice cars and things that we're doing. So, we're trying to cross market it all together. So when you think Cheddar's, you're gonna think, oh man, he's the one with the Bentley, or he's the one with the Rolls, And so then you'll be like, hey, I like that image, that style, and so that's what we're trying to do,
All right. Now, before we get out of here, Aaron, let's challenge my Gold Diggers on something that you challenge yourself each and every day to do.
I mean, I think that the challenge is you just gotta. There's always going to be challenges. Number one, if there isn't, you're doing the wrong thing, because the part of the beauty is to be able to accomplish goals. I'm a big picture type of guy, so I've got all the ideas in the world. You need an idea, I got one for you. It's the minor details that kind of you need either somebody or the minor details really will kind of bring everything together. So you got to have that yin and yang with somebody or with yourself. So I don't know, you have to question what you're doing and if it's the right way. You can't beat yourself up on it. You got to be able to move on, but you got to be able to learn from your mistakes, because they'll eat you up. Yeah. And you're gonna make them. I mean, you just gotta.
They fuel your success. Failures fuel success.
Yeah, you got to be around people that are gonna fuel your fire, and not dampen it. You want to not fuel it too facetiously or anything. You want the people to be real, but it makes a big difference with your network and things. And so that's a constant battle for me. You got to build that network, because people. I know you're not gonna. Hopefully, hopefully y'all go in and ask for it now. Cheddar's Original with the T. But for somebody to go into the liquor store and just buy it right off the shelf, that's a hard sell, you
Yeah.
know, and there's no illusions there for me. I know that, and that's why any method of marketing to get the brand out is, you know, especially with social media now, such a big platform,
Yes.
you gotta find somebody to really help you do that. So,
Well, you heard those gold digging nuggets right there. Well, thank you so much, Aaron, for dropping by, hanging out with us, doing some gold digging. Until next time, always be one day closer to your dreams and have many peace and blessings. Thanks.
peace in the Middle East.
Perfect. I like that.
Cool.
I learned a lot. I love doing